All right, everybody, welcome back to the Lowport podcast. It's been a while. Hayden and I are struggling really hard here to make a new episode for you all. We just recorded for 10 or 15 minutes and the internet cut out. So we're really pushing here by not quitting at the first sign of adversity. And I think we were being a little bit boring too. So
Hell yeah.
why don't we try to be spicy? Let's be spicier.
Let's be
So
spicy. All right.
this
I'm
is
going to need
this
you
is
to
the first.
judiciously use a bleep button here for the next couple of minutes. But
I don't have one, but
shit,
my
I'm definitely
we
getting
can fix
fired.
we can fix that in post. I have no
Heck
staff.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, Hayden, you've been on before. New Mexico shooter. I think Santa Fe guy. You come down to Albuquerque to shoot all the time. Um, and yeah, you really prompted me to do another episode. I've been running around doing all sorts of stuff, and I've been busy. But yeah, I think it's good we're sitting here and trying against Xfinity to make another episode. So thank you for
Yeah.
sitting down with me.
Yeah, for sure. I have enjoyed all of the episodes you've done so far. So, I love content. I need content to fill my day, man. So I have been probably pestering the living shit out of you about like when's the next one coming, man. So I'm absolutely happy to hop on. So uh, so yeah, we were. I think before the internet cut out, we were talking about Rocky Mountain 3 gun. So I don't know. Do you want to pick up there, or do we need to rehash all sorts of lore and backstory?
Well, let's start there because that's kind of the big match you've done recently, and then we
Yeah.
can rehash for the listeners. What you're asking me about some of my activities recently
Heck yeah. Well, yeah. In
and
in
be
August,
spicy.
I think it was that spicy. Hell yeah. I think it was the second weekend in August or something like that. Went up to Rocky Mountain 3 gun with a bunch of the local guys and shot Rocky Mountain 3 gun, which is one of the oldest continuously operating 3 gun matches, and is really kind of the original formula. It's not the new Coke of a lot of 3 gun matches that take place in bays. It is natural terrain, running around at 8,000 feet elevation through hills and mountains and meadows and all that kind of stuff. Um, Extremely mid placement on
Yes.
my part. I think I'm like 58% in TAC ops, but Jared was shooting TAC ops, so I guess I can't complain about being nearly 60% of Jared. Um, so
There's usually a pretty high disaster factor in Rocky Mountain too, because there's just a ton
yeah,
of hard shots. Usually, whether it be a lot of long range rifle after you've run 300 yards shooting other guns for a stage, or there's shotgun slug targets that are over 100 yards, really
yeah,
hard shotgun activators, pistol on small little half size targets or far steel. Like everything about Rocky Mountain is meant to get your heart rate up, get you breathing,
mm,
and then make you shoot really, really hard targets. So
for
it's
sure. Plus, it's hot. Sometimes, like this time, it's
yes,
rainy enough that we had to call our first day like halfway through our second stage. And the stages are long as hell. I mean, if
yeah,
for anybody who primarily does USPSA, right, stages are tend to be pretty quick. Um, Even at our like local Del Norte 3 gun, a lot of our stages are like 50 to 70 second maybe kind of stages. A lot of their stages are like 3 minutes long, and there's a lot of long range rifle and a lot of running, and not just flat
three
ground running, but
minutes if
up and down.
if it goes reasonably well.
Yes.
And then the timeout for a lot of stages. So when they just stop you, is usually like 5 or 6 minutes, depending on the stage. So a lot of people time out at this match.
It's
So that
intense,
just
man.
goes to show you one stage of Rocky Mountain, and it's usually I think a 9 stage match over
Yeah,
2 or 3 days. One stage of that is more time behind the gun than most USPSA majors.
for sure.
You
It's
know,
it's intense, man. And it's especially intense when your first day gets shut down halfway through the squad's second stage, and so you have to make up 5 stages the next day when it's hot and
Yeah,
humid and
that's
there's
a
bugs.
marathon. That's a
It's
marathon.
crazy. It was a lot of fun, but I think every one of us was like, they had to bump the whole schedule. Every one of us was like, man, I really hope our last stage for today they just let us do tomorrow morning because I'm fucking burnt. It was a long day, but very, very fun match, very challenging match. And frankly, especially for trying uh, the Lords division for trying TAC Ops, I'm pretty happy with how it went for me. There was an all rifle stage that I totally flubbed some of the long range on. It just did not go well for me.
Isn't
But
heavy the Lord's division?
no. That's absolutely a satanic division. You can
Oh,
quote me
okay.
on that to
That's
Ross. Yeah.
okay.
But
But 45 is the Lord's caliber, and that's what heavy division
well,
shoots
that's
against.
but the devil knows the Bible too, you know.
Okay.
So yeah, uh, but
It's a trap.
it is, and I mean honestly, that's the thing too, right? Like heavy division at that match, or like He-Man, which I haven't done yet. I'd like to do in the future. Using a pump shotgun for the long stages that they have there. I mean, it's a little bit hard for me to imagine. I'm a little pampered by the semi-auto.
So usually the way Rocky Mountain works is it's 9 stages, and 3 of those stages will use all 3 guns: rifle, pistol, shotgun. And then there will be 3 of those stages that are each permutation of 2 guns, so pistol, rifle, rifle, shotgun, shotgun, rifle, shotgun, pistol, right? And then there will be 3 stages that are single gun stages, so an all pistol, an all rifle, and an all shotgun stage. And the all shotgun stage, I don't know how many rounds it was this year, but usually it's in excess of 40 rounds.
Yeah.
So you have to figure out how to hold 40 rounds of shotgun that you can reload with some sense of expediency on your person, and then
And with
get
slugs
through
like
that.
not at the start or the end, slugs like dead in the middle of it too. You
Yeah, with
know?
different types of ammo. So you have to be able to
Yeah.
candy cane load some slugs in with birdshot, and maybe sometimes there's even buckshot. And yeah, it's just chaos. And then the stages are long and they're marathons, like we already talked about. But then when you're running a pump for over 40 rounds with loading that thing, yeah, you're completely smoked by the end of it.
Oh, big
It's
time. You know, big respect to Ross and Glenn Shelby for actually just physically being able to make it through doing heavy division at that match, because that is insane. The all shotgun stage at this match was I think 30. I think it was 36 rounds, of which 2 were slugs. Realistically, of course, that means like 40 something rounds, a couple of extra slugs. Um,
right.
they all, of course, the all pistol stage was like 51 rounds, I think, minimum. And it's intense. It is a really fun match, but also I haven't been able to figure out a way to articulate this yet. But there's a, a particular challenge with stage planning and just with moving through a stage that comes with natural terrain, because of how it is just very wide open. There's not a designated shooting area. There's not fault lines. There's no stay between the lines kind of stuff going on. And so like
Right.
it winds up being a very micro level kind of thing where like you're figuring out like what rock you want to stop at for different targets, and
Yeah.
you have to get a little what's the word I'm looking for? Like a little more brave, maybe, with shooting certain targets on the move to just clear space that you might not take on the move at another match, right? Um, there's the temptation to, like on the all shotgun stage, I remember, coming up on a target into a position that I had decided was the good position for that target and shooting it, and then immediately being tempted to take the next visible target. And the next visible target is like 30 yards away, and so there's just not a good chance that I'm going to knock it over at that distance.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of like discipline, I feel like, as well, that, all of this stuff comes down to vision, but I feel like that there's a lot of like disciplining yourself to not just get drawn into the trap of taking targets further away than you should instead of clearing that distance when you're actually on the clock.
Yeah, and with
Again,
shotgun, there's the extra challenge of like shooting a farther target when you could see it closer is always a risk because there's a higher probability of a miss. But then with shotgun, usually that target's going to have to fall if it's a steel or something. And when you're shooting birdshot or buckshot, that pattern is spreading out, and so even if your aim is true, there's a decreased probability that you'll actually put enough pellets and your pattern from that thing to knock that target over. So yeah, there's a whole element to think about in 3-gun with shotgun with that as well. And yeah, they do tempt you. Usually at Rocky Mountain, I remember there's a lot of like little angle iron targets that sit on stands to knock off, and usually like you're saying, you can see a lot of them from different places, but once you start getting out, like you said, to 30-ish plus yards with the shotgun, your odds of knocking that down with birdshot is going down a lot, even with a choke. So, yeah, they're tempting you. You have to know your ability to aim, and you have to know your platform in that case. So,
well, and then you also have like complicating that further, right? Is that you might think, like, looking at some of the shotgun stuff on some of their stages, like, oh, I want a really tight choke so I can nail that one from a distance. But then they have the throwers that don't just toss them straight up and down in the air like we do at Del Norte, or like they have at Zia or at Superstition out of Rio Salado, but that throw the thing trap or skeet style, and suddenly the super tight choke is not necessarily an advantage because you kind of do want a little bit more spread to hit these flying
even
plays.
Or even for the closer static targets, you
yeah
don't know. You're less likely to hit those with a tighter choke because your pattern's smaller. So yeah, shotgun's very complicated. That's why I think shotgun's one of the most interesting guns to shoot in practical competition, because there's so many things to consider. There can be three different types of ammo you shoot: birdshot, slugs, shotgun. You can modify the constriction of the pellet-based rounds, so the birdshot and the buckshot by using different chokes to make a tighter or larger pattern, and those will affect the point of impact of slugs as well. So there's so many things going on with shotgun that it's just very complicated. And then if you're not shooting open with mag-fed shotguns, you have to do the quad loading and stuff like that. So it's just a whole animal unto itself. Actually, IPSC shotgun is a very interesting discipline because they are just absolute specialists of knowing the ins and outs of all of those different permutations of ammo and choke and this and that to hit. Like they're shooting shotguns with like no shoot targets and stuff like that. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, it's super cool too, IPSC shotgun, because of like I mean, we are like I hesitate to say like lucky because we all deserve to have it, but we are, I guess, politically lucky to get to have ARs and high cap pistols and all of that kind of stuff here. And in a lot of the rest of the world, they don't. And what they might be able to have, though, is a shotgun. And so there's a lot of like global talent that you get to see on display with IPSC shotgun in a way that is a little bit more restricted, I feel like, with some of the other stuff we do, whether that's USPSA IPSC pistol or whether that's 3-gun, with ARs and all that kind of stuff. And so, there are a lot of countries where you really can't own a lot of that stuff. And what you wind up seeing is, frankly, really impressive shotgun talent, because that's what's available.
Super
right?
Impressive.
Yeah. And those guys also, with a lot of 3-gunners, they have the one way they load, whether it's weak hand or strong hand. And with the IPSC guys, they're incredible at both of them because
they can load that anyway. Because they're like, if I have to turn left around the wall, I'm going to load it this way. If I have to turn right around the wall, I'm going to load it this way. And it's just a completely different loading technique, but that's what gives them the slight edge. And so,
It's
yeah,
super impressive. I follow a lot of them on
it's a cool
TikTok. There's a lot of
discipline.
Thai IPSC shotgun shooters that I've come across on TikTok that are really impressive,
The
and I
Thais and
have stolen
the
some standings.
Italians. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, the Thais
absolutely.
and the Italians love shotguns. Um, yeah, it's a cool discipline.
Mm,
There's a lot to it. There's an infinity
yeah,
of experience and skill just
yeah.
within the shotgun sport. I feel like,
And there is
but
nothing
rifle,
that
the
compares
IPSC
to.
rifle is pretty cool too. We should talk about IPSC rifle a little bit because
Oh, totally.
recently an American finally won the IPSC rifle world shoot, which happened just a couple weeks ago, which is pretty cool because
Yeah,
usually some European wins that. Often, I think a Finnish person or something like that. They have a strong rifle culture in Finland, and the world shoot indeed was in Finland this year,
hmm
and an American finally won it. I think the American team also won overall. For the
they did
combined team
really
competition.
well.
So that,
The men
yeah,
and the
so that was
women for the U.S. did really, really well at the rifle world shoot.
it was great to see. It was
Yeah,
really cool to see.
and that was Litzy, right, who won overall.
Yeah, Kyle Litzy, who I
Yeah,
think is actually shoots out of California, which is interesting. I don't know how he
that's
makes
great.
all that work.
Yeah,
But holy cow, like he crushed and he brought it back to America, which is where it should be.
yeah, for
So
sure.
IPSC, one of the people that created IPSC was, I think he was a colonel, but I don't know the rank, but Jeff Cooper,
hmm
who spent a lot of time up in Raton, New Mexico at the Whittington Range where Rocky Mountain Three Gun happened and happens. In fact, I think there's a cabin named for him, and probably a lot of IPSC got conceptualized in that area, which is pretty cool. And of course, then IPSC proliferated to the world, and there's rifle, pistol, shotgun world shoots, individual disciplines that happen on rotating 3 year schedules. So there, COVID messed a lot of things up, but nominally there's 3 years between each pistol world shoot, and then 3 years between each shotgun, and 3 years between each rifle, and they're kind of all rolled together. So I think they usually there's one world shoot each year. I'm not
hmm
exactly sure how it works, but that's pretty cool. And across Europe and Asia and even other places, a lot of people compete in IPSC. And then, confusingly, even though IPSC was created and conceptualized by mostly like American people, as I understand it, Jeff Cooper and his compatriots, we created our own pistol shooting discipline that is affiliated with IPSC but has its own unique rule set called the USPSA,
hmm
which is of course what I mostly shoot now. But I just wonder like how it's an odd chain of events that led us to having like this discrete pistol shooting organization when IPSC
Yeah,
was created in America originally. It's just an odd thing.
yeah. Especially to the point that if you show up to USPSA with a PCC, you might get made fun of. Which I may be doing at some point in the future because I've just been watching a bunch of PCC shooters on Instagram, and I gotta say it looks real fun, man. I gotta do a little bit more of it. I feel like so I may have gotten drunk and bought a new barrel for my PCC, and I may be currently printing a magwell for it. But you know, it is interesting though. It definitely is. And speaking of IPSC shotgun, we did kind of a not strictly IPSC, kind of an outlaw by our 3 gun rules, all shotgun match recently as well at Del Norte. So that was, I think that was that also in August or was that in July? I can't remember. Um, but I've been advocating for that for a while. I'm sure you're familiar with how obnoxious I can be once I get like a bug in my head about something, and so I just thought that looked sick, doing an all shotgun match, and that it would be a lot of fun. And I did not do very well at it. I had to practice my quad loads a lot after that to get ready for Rocky Mountain. Um, but it was a lot of fun, and I'd love to do more of them. Josh, I would love to see you come out and do some of them with us at some point.
Yeah. I should. Shotgun's really fun. I haven't picked up a shotgun in a long time. Ross has been opening the loading port on my shotgun for about a year. So when I get that back, maybe I'll do a little bit more 3-gun and an all shotgun match if one's available.
Hell yeah.
I did an all shotgun match when I lived in Utah, and it was a ton of fun. It was really,
it's
really
outrageous. That, you know, I mean, the shotgun kicks you around like crazy compared to the other guns. It's not that it's louder, but it is boomier. And everything you shoot with it either falls over or explodes. So it's pretty sick.
Yeah. Yeah, shotguns, they really are fun. It's sad that people don't like them and think they're stupid because the fun factor is so high.
Yeah.
And shooting an open shotgun with magazines and stuff, that is fun. But I really think when you shoot a tube-fed shotgun, so you have to quad load it, and even, especially with iron sights, like it's visceral and intimate shooting experience. Like the way you load it is very manual. Uh, like you said, it knocks you around. The effect on the targets are obvious and noteworthy, and it's just, I don't know. It's
There's
just
a real
really
physicality
cool.
to it. Yeah,
it's a little different. Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's so much fun.
And it's such a hard sell though. Nobody wants to do shotgun. They're like, shotgun's stupid.
Yeah.
Grant said shotguns were stupid. I don't know if he said that, but probably some tactical person doesn't like shotguns.
Yeah.
I don't really know about tactical people, but
yeah. No, it's all gamers here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was absolutely one of those people until I started shooting 3-gun, and then when I first got interested in shooting sports, right? When it was revived in me after a long hiatus, I think I mentioned on the last one I did silhouette shooting as a teenager. Very fun, very challenging. Not my forte, but I'd like to do it again someday. So I hit up in, I think, 2021, Drew about the 3-gun matches, and I asked if they did 2-gun because I didn't have a shotgun, and I was not really interested in them. And he was like, "Well, you can use my shotgun, and I think you're going to want to buy one after you do it." And I shot one match and then immediately bought a shotgun and was like, "I'm doing more of that." That was that was fun.
It's fun. It's undeniably fun.
Yeah.
So
it's rowdy.
It's a shame. It's super rowdy. I don't understand why people don't like it more.
Yeah.
They just hate fun, I guess.
They do. A bunch of buzzkills, but it's super fun. I would like to do more of those. So also,
shotguns are having a resurgence, though. Sorry to talk over you, but
no, go for
it. In Ukraine, aren't people blasting down FPV drones with shotguns and stuff like that? And they're making explosive rounds and all sorts of interesting things for shotguns now.
Yeah, shotguns outside of the realm of breaching are coming back. We're so back, dude. We thought it was Jover, but it's actually so back,
It's not. An explosive shotgun round blowing up a drone full of C4. That's cool.
And incredible.
Shooting a person with an explosive shotgun round would probably be sick. And I'm sure we'll see very soon out of Ukraine of that happening.
For legal reasons, that is a joke. However, I mean...
It would be sick, disgusting. It would make me feel horrible to see
nauseous.
That. Cool
absolutely. I mean, it is wild, right? And like when you think about shooting a drone out of the air with a shotgun, like, I mean, are we prepared to call trap and skeet practical shooting sports again? I mean,
I guess.
So it's kind of wild. It's kind of wild. There was a guy who was getting some drone footage at Rocky Mountain, and I did have the thought, like, man, that should be a target. We need to figure out an affordable way to have something like a drone as a target. So they get pretty close with the long throwing clays and everything, but
All right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I hope to see more all shotgun matches at Del Norte. I will hopefully come and shoot one if I've got a shotgun to use.
Yeah, what shotgun is Ross working on for you? Is it a 1301?
1301 Comp Pro. Yeah.
Of course it is. I need to get me one, you know?
Yeah, those are the best shotgun, no doubt. The
They're
Kickoff Plus
nice.
system is just so money.
Yeah. I remember training with Ross on shotgun, and I use a Stoker M3K, which is incredible value, I think. And like with a little bit of polishing, they work great. But he tossed me his and was like, okay, now compare this like side by side. Just shoot these two targets with yours, shoot these two targets with mine. It is
Yeah.
like no comparison. The 1301 is nice, you know.
Yeah, the Stoker knocks you around quite a bit more. Years ago, there was a point in time where, like, between Ross, me, Jarrett, Joe, whoever, I don't know who all was in it, we had basically every popular shotgun option for three gun shooting. So there was the Benelli M2, all tricked out. We had a 1301 Comp. We had a 1301 Comp Pro, which the difference is, well, there's a couple differences, but from a recoil perspective, it's the Kickoff Plus system is in the Comp Pro. Remington Versamax, and I think we might have even looked at one of the Mossberg
The
930s or whatever.
941 or whatever.
At the time, I don't think the 940 was out. I think we had like a 930. But,
I got it.
and we a bunch of us shot all of those and put them under slow motion. And yeah, with the Kickoff Plus and the rotating bolt operating system that the Beretta has, the combination of those things, and it's gas operated, make it it was the fastest cycling, but it was also the softest shooting shotgun.
Yes.
And the 1301 Comp was like close to the mix, but the Comp Pro with the Kickoff Plus system, so basically like a recoil absorbing buffer between like where you hold the shotgun and where the stock is, so it just kind of like reciprocates into your hand. Man, that was notably softer with less sight dispersion.
Far
when you
less
pull
muzzle
the
rise. Yeah.
It turns fast. It's just such a faster shotgun.
It's just barely hopping, right? Like with the Stoker, I'm getting like blown off of target, and the Comp Pro is right back on it, like about as quickly as I can perceive what's going on, you know.
I feel like I'm losing the internet again.
Are you still there? Do we have another issue?
Oh no. Oh, are you still there?
Yes.
Okay. That one wasn't so bad.
Nice.
I don't know why it keeps dropping, but Xfinity sucks.
Yeah. Well, hey, while we're coming back from that, let me run to the bathroom real quick, and then we can talk about some more things.
I can actually pause it. All right, Hayden's back from whatever he did in the bathroom, so we can jump.
It's a mystery.
Right back into things. Yeah. We've talked a lot about three gun and shotguns and IPSC and this and that. What's next on the docket, buddy?
Man, I would love to hear about some of the stuff you've been up to, some of your recent match experiences, especially your travels. You know, so what have you been up to?
Yeah, so this year I've done some exotic travels for matches, like I talked about on the podcast before. In February, I went to Puerto Rico to do the Caribbean Open, which is a really cool match. I was like kind of hoping to do that again. I was hoping to do it again, but I hadn't fully committed to it.
You got to hang out on the beach while we had a blizzard at Three Gun.
And it's a great match with great stages. It was a really good experience all the way around. But man, it opened up this past weekend for the 2025 iteration of the match, and this year it filled up in 10 minutes. And so
no way.
I didn't expect that. So my fence sitting cost me the opportunity to go there. And so, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it this year, which is kind of sad because it is a really good match. Um, the other big match I traveled for this year was Alaska sectional. I think it's the sectional, not the state match. Um, I don't know if there is a state match, but that was really cool. That was
What's the distinction, by the way, for the USPSA uninitiated between a sectional and a state match?
well, I think a section can potentially include multiple states, and an area can include multiple sections. So the U.S. has 50 states, not 52. Shocking to some people, and each one of those, and there's 8 areas in USPSA. Each area has an area match, so there's 8 area championships each year, in addition to a nationals for each division, and then there can be section matches. So usually in like the more populated parts of the country, a section match I think might encompass multiple states, like more on the East Coast side. But lots of times out on the West Coast, where the population is sparser, a section and a state essentially correspond. And so in those cases, usually there will be a section match instead of a state match because that's like the larger organizational entity within USPSA. So I think that was the case in Alaska. I'm not sure, but like New Mexico is a good example of that. We don't have a New Mexico state match. We have a New Mexico section match because our section is our state, or at least
Right.
I think that's how it works. Um, yeah, so I went up to Alaska to do their, I think, section match. Um, and thank God I stretched that out into being a like 6-day vacation because I DQ'd on the first stage. My first DQ at a major, only my second ever. Um, but yeah, so I was just like,
Oh
wow,
man.
I'm glad I flew all these miles, took all these days off work, and you know booked all of this to DQ. It sucked. But Joe came up with me. We traveled together to a lot of matches, and I stuck around for both days. Just tried to keep keep Joe shooting good, helped reset this and that, and the stages were really good. I've stolen some of those stages for local matches past,
Nice.
and so it's a cool experience up there. It's kind of crazy. Only 90 people were at the section match or thereabouts. Um, there were a couple of really good shooters, but it's definitely lightly attended. So there's
Hmm.
not like a huge amount of heat or anything like that. Um, I
So, small
really wish
population
I had
in
gotten to shoot more of those
far-flung
stages
state.
because like I've repeated the designs I thought were really really good. So it was a bummer to DQ, but
Yeah.
I made the most of the trip. Did a lot of hiking and stuff around Alaska. I'd never been up there before, so it was the first for me to kind of check out Alaska, check out the nature up there, and it's rough and beautiful country. It was a cool thing. But I've made
Yeah.
changes to my gun and stuff to try to prevent DQs like that in the future. So learning
Yeah.
experience.
So I saw the video, and my first thought was, I wouldn't be able to prove that wasn't you know intentional in some way. And my second thought was, what the hell actually happened? So what was it that? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think per the rules they were right to DQ me. So basically, if the gun goes off during a manipulation, that's essentially a DQ. I can't quote you the rule number, but that's a rule.
Yeah.
And so what happened was I shot through the first part of the stage. I reloaded into a big stick, so kind of a weird reload. Usually, you don't reload into a big stick. And then I, remounted the gun to shoot the next target after the reload, and I pulled the trigger, and it didn't go off. So I lowered the gun, and in the process of doing that, I took my support hand off the gun, and about something like this, it goes off. And it went off downrange. It wasn't like a super sketchy thing or anything like that, but I was definitely dismounted and trying to figure out what was going on with the malfunction. So what happened was, or what I believe happened, was after the reload, my support hand comes up and I run my support hand pretty high, like you can see like that. And so I think I just kicked up the thumb safety just slightly to the point where it didn't go off. And then I think when I brought the gun down, it went off just like it did there. And so I, I'd like to believe my finger wasn't on the trigger, because I think historically over all these years of shooting, I've been very safe and had good trigger discipline. But I tried a lot to try to make this gun's hammer fall while the safety was in like various states between engagement and disengagement. And the closest I could ever get was falling to half cock. It fell to full right there, but I think that's because I pushed it all the way down. So I think I blame myself for that. I think it was like a malfunction I had not experienced before, and so I don't know. When you don't have the muscle memory to do things properly, weird stuff happens, and I think weird stuff happened. So that sucked. But my fix for that was two things. One, I did some Dremel work on where the safety detent interacts with the safety. So now it's really, really hard to take the safety to put the safety on. So even after reloads and stuff like that, I would have to really jam this thing to put the safety back on and create a similar situation again. And then because of my high grip, the other thing I did is, you can probably see there's like silver here on both sides of these double tap safeties. I had John, who has a machine shop, just grind those down basically on a wheel. And so they're probably only about half the width that they were originally. And so now even with my high grip, my hand doesn't really like catch them. It kind of slides past. And so they're harder to activate the safety now, and my hand interacts with the safety less. And so I've shot this gun quite a bit, and after doing those modifications, and I don't think that's going to happen again, which is awesome. But it just goes to show you like how little differences can in your equipment can create big changes in your shooting experience. And so every time you change something with your equipment, there's going to be probably unforeseen consequences. And I learned those in a hard way in Alaska. But I think this thing is dialed now, and this is a really awesome gun. So hope to not have those problems again.
For sure.
But I guess my general advice would be, anything could happen. You don't know when you're going to get DQ'd from a match. So if you go to a destination match, like I've done a couple times this year, stretch it out a little bit. Make sure you're doing something other than the match. So if you do get DQ'd or you shoot like shit and you're bummed about it, you got something else to do and enjoy and make it a good experience. So so that was Alaska.
I had one time with a pistol that the video reminded me of it, and what you're talking about reminded me of it. And I won't say what kind of pistol it was. It was a Walther PPKS, but it was I pulled the trigger and sorry, what?
I said don't get any more specific.
Yeah. It was I pulled the trigger and like nothing happened, and so I took my finger off the trigger and kind of brought it back. And like the second I did and I was looking at it, the hammer dropped. And I still don't know what happened there, but I don't exactly trust them now at this point. But that was immediately what it made me think of. I don't know if there was just gunk in there, and so the hammer had the sear had released it, and there was just gunk, and it eventually the spring tension overcame the gunk and sent it, or what. But it was scary. So
Scary. Yeah, weird stuff can happen, but that's why the 4 basic rules of firearms safety are kind of these overlapping things to prevent accidents like that.
For real. But hey, at least you were in Alaska.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. My first time up there, did a bunch of hiking. I didn't see any bears, but I saw a bunch of bear shit when I was hiking. So I felt justified in having some spray with me. some bear
Had
spread.
had the open gun so that you could really unload into any bears you found.
I wish I had that on my personal hiking, but I didn't.
Yeah. Oh man.
This would probably do. A bear would have a hard time with this. I'd feel pretty comfortable. Um,
I mean, how big are
30.
the big sticks in that? I feel like at a certain point, no matter what you're shooting, if you've got that much of it,
Yeah, and it's pretty spicy. 38 Super Comp is similar to 357 Magnum, which is a known like effective round.
Yeah.
So they're pretty intense guns.
But for
Yeah, but
legal
after
reasons, you
Alaska,
didn't take any bears.
I did not take any bears.
Yeah.
Um, After Alaska, I went up and I did a quick local in Utah with my old buddies, and that was really fun. Um, After that, uh, what did I do? I I think I just shot a bunch of. Oh no, did I already talk about Area One on this podcast? I can't remember
I
where
don't
we were
know.
at with that. Well, anyway, Area One, I think I did because that was back in April, May. I can't even remember when that was, but I shot Area One in Nevada, regardless of if I've talked about it before or not. That was a really good match, and that was probably one of my strongest match performances. I shot like 90, 89 or something percent of a national champion in open. I felt really good. So
Dude, heck yeah.
that was yeah that made me feel really good. The Alaska DQ sucked. Shooting a local in Utah with my buddies was awesome. And then I came back and I shot a bunch of locals and I started messing around with this bad boy. The Pink
Aha.
Prodigy finally came back. And so I shot a couple matches, indoor matches with this bad boy, and this is a fun gun.
I
Limited
love a pink
optics,
gun, you know?
yeah. I know people say limited optics is too overlapping of carry optics, but I think with what carry optics became, it may as well just have single action guns and magwells and stuff like that. It's essentially a race division already, and limited optics is just so fun to get to run 2011s and stuff like that. And the Prodigy shoots great. Um, and let's see. And so, yeah, I messed around with some local matches, shooting a mix of LO and open. And then my
At the
last
same time,
open,
like that, I hope.
that would be cool.
Got to do some
And then
promo footage, you know?
the most recent major I did was Utah sectional, or no, sorry, that's actually Utah State. I did Utah State weekend before last, and that's always a super well produced match with great stages this year, particularly great stages. Shot okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. It was just kind of mezzo. But I had a great time with my Utah buddies. The open gun was flawless, so I think all these modifications to prevent me having issues and stuff with it were fine, and it ran all the ammo just fine. People were calling me Fireball because I was shooting at Atlanta Arms Factory 38 Super Comp, which I guess uses some sort of really flashy powder. I guess maybe it's an even extra slow powder or something like that. I don't know.
Nice.
But every 5 shots or so, just an enormous fireball would come out of this thing, which was pretty cool.
You got to put a laser on that and bring it out to our next night shoot, you know?
I might have to.
I feel like that could be fun.
But yeah, so Utah State is always an excellent match, and I super recommend it to people. As far as the rest of my year looks like, I've got the New Mexico sectional in early October, and then the weekend after that, I have Open Nationals in Alabama, and so that's going to be a busy couple weeks right there. And then after that, the last big one I've got is I believe Ergo got me into Area 2, which is probably one of the most competitive area matches. Remember, USPSA divides the country into 8 areas that you've got. So one of the most competitive matches besides the nationals you can do. Really excited to do that. They always have really hard shooting challenges in Area 2. They're renowned for difficult shooting and activators and stuff like that. And so
And
I'm
I
looking
guess they
forward
would
to
need to
that.
be with the quality of shooters in Area 2. There are some real heavy hitters who
Yeah,
who
Area
play in
2
Area 2.
is in Arizona, usually in Phoenix, Arizona, and that's just such a hotbed of shooting talent that all the locals that show up for the match are super good, and then it seems to draw a lot of the strong national talent as well. So it's super stacked. Usually difficult shooting challenges, and yeah, with the end of that, that'll be my year. And
Heck yeah.
not really sure what I'm going to do next year. I love shooting open. I've acquired 3 open guns over the last little more than a year. I love it, but
Had to get a home
I
equity
kind of
line of credit to afford them.
love shooting limited optics too,
Yeah.
and it's just so much simpler to do that. I can shoot factory ammo and not worry that's cheap factory ammo, like half the cost or less of what open ammo costs. So I don't know. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do for next season, but I think either is a good option. So we'll see where I
Maybe
go.
something like Rocky Mountain 3-gun or Superstition or something like that.
It could be. I wouldn't be opposed to doing like at least one good 3-gun match next year. And
Hey,
Rocky
let me
Mountain,
know. I'll be there.
Rocky Mountain's the classic. It's hard to say no to that for sure.
It's so fun. Plus, the accommodations in Raton tend to be much more affordable than the ones in Phoenix. So
Yeah, but the ones in Phoenix are also a lot nicer.
that's true. That's definitely true. You might even get a pool out of it.
Yeah, Superstition in Phoenix is a great 3-gun match, but I think Rocky Mountain is more pinnacle 3-gun. It's just you have to deal with Raton. There is a
Yeah.
redeeming light in Raton though, and that's that Bruno's restaurant. I love Bruno's. So
Oh
good.
yeah. That spot is good. That spot is good. And
It's definitely the best restaurant in town. The other one is not so good.
there was a good burrito spot that
Yeah.
that I hit up after our disastrous muddy day where all the guns had to get cleaned out because they were just caked in like rain and mud and all of that kind of shit. And had a very good lengua burrito. It was very good. It was a nice
Wow.
nice like end of the day thing for being exhausted, worn out, tired as hell from like the cold rain and trying to drive a sedan through like muddy Raton Road to get out of the Whittington Center.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there's at least 2 good places in Raton to eat. I can't say much more than that, but there's at least 2.
I've eaten at the McDonald's there a lot too, and it's a McDonald's, so
Consistent.
I can get by with that. Yep, exactly.
Consistency is
But
key,
for sure.
Yeah.
So what's next? What's next for you with shooting? What's the next year got entail for you? What divisions are you going to shoot? What sports are you going to shoot? What's it going to be?
So as far as matches, the only one I definitely have for sure coming up is Red October Cold War in Phoenix in the first weekend in October, which is super, super fun. It's just, all rifle and all like kind of retro rifle. It has to be. You can put a dot on it if it's an AK or a scope, I guess, but everything else is irons. AR irons, AK irons, battle rifle irons. So I'm going to be shooting AK irons this year because I don't know with the cost of 7.62 and the fact that Litzy is in that division. I honestly don't know why I'm doing it, but it seems like it'll be fun. The ammo I have,
You'll see how
unfortunately,
good you are against the best rifle shooter in the world.
I'll tell you this, not that good. But the ammo I've got is corrosive too. But they may. It seems like they might prohibit bimetal jacket ammo this year. So maybe I won't even have to use the corrosive stuff. But it's very fun. It's a nice kind of like end of the season, just rowdy time with old rifles, with kind of gimmicky And I don't say that in a bad way, but kind of gimmicky Cold War themed stages, So that'll be a lot of
Yeah.
fun. And I want to say, like, you've shot that at least a few times, right? And you did Free World irons, I think, the ARs with
Yeah,
iron
I think
sights.
I've done that match like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, it's fun. It's not it's time plus, so it is a drag race
Hmm.
in terms of scoring.
Yeah, 2 or 3 times, I think.
Yeah, yeah, it's a blast.
Oof.
So that's my last one for the year
Connection
out of state,
lost.
or
I
that's
don't know
kind of a
what's going
big
on
match.
tonight.
And then,
Xfinity does not want us to make another episode.
oh no, are we back?
Oh, you're back. Okay, there we go.
Nice.
So yes,
Okay,
so for the third time, yes, I've shot Red October 2 or 3 times, I think, and it's a super fun match. Um, Rifle matches are always fun. They bring the people out too. Rifle matches are pretty simple. Even like, I guess technically Red October is a major or whatnot. I don't know. It's got 300 shooters, maybe, right?
yeah,
I don't know how many guns.
fully outlaw.
But
It's just their own rules, right?
yeah, it's just whatever.
Yeah,
But even so, you can show up there with just your AR or your AK and back pockets to hold your extra magazines, and you can shoot the match. You don't need anything fancy. And so I think that aspect of like rifle only matches really brings the folks out, and that's a cool thing.
yeah. Yeah, it's a fun match. I'm looking forward to shooting AK irons. I think we did our black rifle match at Del Norte. Just
Yeah, that was
I mean,
fun.
God, was that just this weekend or something? Yeah, I guess it
It
was.
was, yeah.
Um, uh, and Also very fun. We had thought about doing like a theme for it. We do kind of like local matches to a lot of the time to prepare for those out of state matches. So sometimes we'll get the outback part of Del Norte to prepare for Rocky Mountain so that we can do natural terrain and reach out a little further. Um, and for Red October, we typically do a black rifle match before it, and it was a lot of fun shooting AK. I got first place in irons division out of 2 shooters, so
All right.
I'm kind of a big deal.
Suck it, other
But
guy.
yeah, no, that was Gary from Los Alamos. I think was the other guy. So he's also doing the Lord's work, putting on matches. Um, but it was a lot of fun shooting AKs again, like shotguns. Super rowdy. It feels like using farm equipment. It's like it
It does.
clacks, it slams around. It feels like a proper contraption. So I'm
Yeah,
looking forward to doing that at Red October too.
I shot an AR for that match, but I shot Red Dot Division with like a 13.9-inch gun with a suppressor on it, and so that was fun. It's fun to do something a little different,
Yeah,
and yeah, the rifle
yeah. I
matches
mean,
are always
it's
cool.
it's guns you wouldn't bring out to another match, right? Like if you're really trying to be serious about 3-gun, you're probably not using iron sights or an AK. I say probably
Right.
not because there are some people who do, but probably you're not. And it's a chance to bring out something you wouldn't use anywhere else, and try it out on the
For
clock,
sure.
right? So
Yeah, which is a ton of fun. Um, yeah, the black rifle matches I'll always try to make. Just like if you guys have an all shotgun match and my shotgun is ready, I'll be there.
heck yeah,
Unless I have
I would
something
love to
better
do
to
more of
do.
those. That was real fun, and we kind of threw it together because we didn't have any other plans that month. I feel like if we really gave it some focus and planned it out a couple months in advance, we could really do a banger of an all shotgun match. Um,
For sure.
it's I don't know. There's putting on different types of matches. There's unique challenges. I think we kind of have had this the times that we've done PCSL rules 2-gun matches, where since we're all 3-gunners, we want long stages with if possible with kind of like targets at kind of long distance, and we want to spend a lot of time behind the gun. And when you're doing a hit factor match with multiple guns, that doesn't really flow as well, and becomes kind of a
That's
long
true.
and grueling day, and so I think if we spend a little more time on the shotgun thing too, planning around what an all shotgun match should flow like and what that means for what the stages should be like, we could make something that was really cool out of it. So I'm hopeful we'll do some more of that.
Yeah, I hope so too.
Yeah.
It is no doubt a good time.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping we can have the next Del Norte USPSA match this coming Saturday. Don't have quite enough helpers yet to open registration, and it's Wednesday, and the match is supposed to be Saturday. So we'll try to figure that out.
Guys, helpers go to heaven. Keep that in mind, all of you.
Well, people have made comments because for my match, I like to set it up the day before so people can show up and shoot it. And so for most people, the match experience is you show up at 9, you get a shooter brief, you shoot 5 stages, and you're out of there somewhere between noon and 12:30. So it's not a huge time commitment, and I think that's a cool thing. And they're quality stages. The problems have been wrung out. You just come up, you shoot, you go home, and you can have the rest of your Saturday. It doesn't take up a whole day. And people have said, increasingly lately that, well, because Del Norte is far away and it's a dirt road, like it doesn't make sense to set up Friday. You should just do it on Saturday. Set up the day of, and I guess I could do that, but that's like what the city range does, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it creates a really long shooting day where you show up, people are like, okay, let's build the stages. Hopefully somebody has stage plans. And you end up spending 2 hours just building stages, and then you shoot the match, and then you go home. And it can take as long. I've come home from that match as late as like 3 in the afternoon,
Right.
and you get there at 8:30 in the morning, and so it can consume your whole day. Usually it's more like 1 or 1:30 or something like that, which isn't
Yeah.
crazy. But it's just a longer day, no matter how you slice it. It's more labor, and I wanted to bring something different to New Mexico when I moved back, which is why I started this and wanted to set it up.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like Del Norte is out there, and it's a commute to go out to set up the match and then to go out and shoot it again. But there's probably 30 to 50 people that regularly shoot like the action pistol or action shooting matches here. There's probably 150 to 200 folks who like occasionally do it. Just like if that responsibility of setting up on Fridays was shared and a couple people came out to set up on Fridays once or twice a year, you can make such a nice experience for most people because you set up once or twice a year, and then the other 11 months of the year, the match is happening, you get to show up and shoot in a couple hours and go home and not set up. And I think that's a fair trade. And if
Yeah.
people just want to set up the day of, then I don't know if I really want to keep doing the match because we have matches that do that. We don't need another one. And so, yeah, we'll see how it goes. The way it's turned out is there's a core of people that usually show up and set up. Probably there's 8 people who iterate a little bit, but usually it's the same 8 or so people. You're one. Um, Wayne, Joe, Dominic, and Drew, and a couple others are the others that always show up and do it. But if it's just those people carrying the burden, and then everybody else is complaining about how difficult it is to set up on Fridays, I think I might just stop doing this.
Yeah.
So
I hope you don't, because your matches are fantastic, and I think that you're also what you're saying about the quality of the like day of match if you set up the night before is totally correct. And to all of those lazy bones people who don't want to drive out to Del Norte the day before, I do that commute for 3 Gun and often for USPSA from Santa Fe to get to Del Norte Gun Club. You can do it too. And, fundamentally, if you want something to happen, if you enjoy doing it, you have to help make it happen, right? It
and
falls to
I'm not
us.
trying to be I'm not trying to be a jerk and call people lazy or this or that, but like,
I'll do it.
if you want to and work for 2 hours, to set up a match the day of, we've covered that. We've got a match that does that. The city range is fun. I go to that. I'll keep going to that. But I wanted to offer something different.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go out every month to set it up on Friday. But if you do that once a year, or if you're feeling generous, twice a year, then you can show up 11 or 10 more times a year and just shoot a match for 3 hours and go home.
Yeah.
And it's really sweet and it's really easy. And if we just shared that responsibility, we could enjoy that.
Yeah.
But it's not working out that way. There's like a core of people that are doing it every month, and then other people who aren't. And I get some people can't, but if we don't share this, it's just not going to work. And it seems like it's not working. So I'm not sure what will happen. Like we talked about, like the September match, if it happens, if we get a couple more people to help out, it will be the last one until December. And we'll see where we're at. But I'm not really interested in doing another match where you just show up the day of and set up and it stretches for hours and hours and hours. I don't.
And no hate to the city range at all. I've enjoyed a number of their matches, but I will say
they have to do it that way. The city does not allow them to set up the day before.
Right.
They have to do it that way.
Yeah.
They do a great job. That's where I got started in USPSA. Like I said, I continue to shoot matches there, and I will into the future. That's how it has to be. But for the majority of people, it's a way better experience to just show up, shoot, set up stages, and then go home.
For sure.
That's what I was trying to offer. And if just a couple people could donate 1 or 2 weekends a year to set up on a Friday, that could be realized for everybody. And sadly, it just hasn't worked out that way. So
yeah, I think we can make it work. I think there's options here. I think also, we've done this at a couple of our 3-gun matches where we haven't had as much help as we needed, where, we set up what we feel like we can with the volunteers that we get on Friday. And then on Saturday, whatever else is left, the people who show up Saturday set it up. I personally very much prefer not setting up the morning of, because you get worn out. You start shooting once the day starts heating up, especially in the summer.
Yeah.
I'm weak. I'm a desk worker, man. I'm not a strong guy with rough hands.
I'm a computer.
Yeah. I've got the nimble fingers of a gamer here, and so after a morning of hammering in nails and stuff like that and carrying poppers, and then I have to shoot on it, I'm a little bit my arms are a little bit worn out. So. But I hope you're able to continue doing the matches for sure. I enjoy them, and I think you put on good matches. You make good stages. It's always a fun time. So, there's any way that I can help for sure. I'm happy to,
Yeah, you already help a lot. You're there a lot of the time for setup, and like you said, you're coming down from Santa Fe. So
Santa Fe, listen.
That's no small thing.
If a weak desk worker from Santa Fe can come down on a Friday to set up, guys, you can do it too. I believe in you. I think you can do it.
You can do it too.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, hopefully it works out. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, I wanted to say that other stuff was my dad came down since the last episode, and he shot a match with me, and we practiced, and that was really fun. And
heck yeah.
My mom came out and visited, and I think I've talked about this on the podcast before, but my mom makes the best thing in the world for me.
Yes.
These are my dry fire shorts. So I've talked about this on shorts before, but like she sews an inner belt into comfortable sweatpant shorts so that I can just throw on and in comfort be ready to put on my outer belt and practice. And that makes a world of difference. And so I've got like this comfortable sweatpants pair. I've got this, more respectable, formal khaki pair.
Could wear those to a wedding. Yeah.
Exactly. It's classy. And then she came out. She brought me a Deadpool pair.
Oh,
So I have a backup pair of shorts. And then for the cold times, she even made me, while she was out here, a pair of dry fire pants. So thanks,
shout out
Mom.
to moms in general, but shout out to Josh's mom in particular. That is
What a lady.
incredible,
That was really cool. So,
incredible stuff. The DIY
and
culture of the shooting sports, we love to see it.
we love to see it. And you should get somebody to make these for you too, if you're out there listening, because it's a lot of work. My mom does it manually. It's hard to push through these air belts and
Jeez.
stuff. I think if you have like a good sewing machine, like a heavy duty one, you could probably do that on a machine. But I don't know what it really
So
takes. I don't know a lot about sewing.
so
But
y'all pay Josh's mom to make you some dry fire sweatpants also. $500.
she's gonna be our critic and like just gnarled if she could something. But
That's so
yeah,
good. I didn't know you had
it's a
that
good idea.
selection.
And as a lazy person, it's really nice to just be able to throw on comfy pants and then have the option to go and dry fire. It
That's
makes a
nice.
difference.
That's nice.
So
So shout out to the sponsor of the podcast. Josh's mom makes the best dry fire pants in the business. You
they are the
gotta get
best.
that on the sponsored jersey. Just a picture of your mom's
Possibly,
face.
possibly the only ones, but they're the best, no doubt.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. Well,
Oh, that's
Hayden, you got
awesome.
any closing words for this podcast?
My
Any
closing
thoughts
words: helpers go to heaven. Shoot Josh's USPSA matches. Also, come shoot some multi-gun matches. Come shoot some shotguns, some PCSL 2-gun, some black rifle matches. We
go
have a good
out of
scene,
your
I think, at
comfort?
Del Norte.
It is fun. Yeah,
Yeah.
all those maps are super fun. 3 guns a challenge, but it's a fun one. Shotgun may seem intimidating, but man, I'll tell you, it's probably the most fun gun to shoot. So go do
Yeah.
something different. Try a
Yeah.
different kind of match.
Get out of your comfort zone. Come try different stuff. If you don't have everything you need, somebody will let you borrow theirs. Even if you have everything you need, somebody is going to come up to you and say, like, would you like to try this one instead? So,
Exactly. If you've got questions, reach out to somebody like Hayden or me or Drew.
Yeah.
You can find us on Instagram. Del Norte 3 Gun is on Instagram. Del Norte USPSA is on Instagram. Del Norte Shooting Club is on Instagram. You can find all of these things and ask whatever
Smash that
questions you
subscribe
have.
button.
Smash it. Full notifications.
Yeah.
We're gonna probably have 200 listeners soon. That might be ambitious, but we'll see.
Drop your comments
But
below. If you have any questions about Josh's dry fire pants, drop those comments below.
they are cool and
So
they're soil resistant thanks to Scotchgard. It's
it's
all
good.
good. So yeah, well, Hayden,
Heck
thanks
yeah.
for joining me. It's great to do another episode.
For sure.
And hopefully we can do this more regularly.
Yeah, definitely. I'm down anytime, man. Holler at me.
Cool. Thanks, buddy. See ya.
Peace.